What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? Welcome to another session for the Skilled Trades Legacy Lab. We are back. I know it took us a minute. It was about 2 months since we were all back on here, but we got some seasoned vets, we got some new people, but we all skilled trades people on this call. So we just gonna hop right into it, and I'm gonna let everybody go around the room and talk about who they are, what they do, where they're from, and different things like that. We're gonna start with the vets. So I'm gonna let you go first, Ernest.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I am Ernest James. I am a bricklayer for 20 something years. I don't know how long. I'm here in the Chicagoland area, local 4 out of Maryville, Indiana. And that's me in a nutshell.
All right, and Matt, you got
Yep,
next.
my name is Matt Clark. I am formerly a local one iron worker out of Chicago, Illinois. I've been in the trades. I would say about 25 years, and I also am a certified safety professional. I work for a large firm providing construction safety professionals all over the country, U.S. and Latin America, and I specialize in mission critical, so data center work. And I'm also your chief energy officer and your cultural strategist.
I love it, Chief Energy Officer. That's what I'm talking about. All right, Ms. Rosa, your turn.
Wow, I don't have a resume like theirs, but I am currently an HVAC technician, also an electrical apprentice for construction. I am currently working I'm in Reno, Nevada, born and raised from Brooklyn, New York, but I've been in retail management for 30 years. So I did a major career switch. Currently working on the Google data center right now as a construction electrician. So I'm out of actual local 401 here in Reno, Nevada. So this is all new to me, and I'm excited, to see how this goes and be on this journey, be a part of the brotherhood. So trades, let's go.
All right, let's get it. And you guys, look, so I am Keisha L. Blair, aka Keisha the Electrician. I have been an electrician for I think it's almost 32 years now. Let me turn this phone off. My bad, y'all. Folks text you on a Sunday trying to buy your house, ain't even for sale. But Keisha L. Blair, aka Keisha the Electrician. I am a skilled trades advocate, career exposure facilitator, and also podcast host of Alpha Intuition Podcast. And I think everybody except for Mark, we got to get you on the podcast. But if y'all want to hear, a really great episode, y'all need to go over to Alpha Intuition page and go watch Rosa, the female HVAC technician. My interview I did with her to drop yesterday. I'm talking about, I couldn't stop laughing even when I rewatched it myself.
I did the same thing.
Man, I was wrong.
Love it.
Good episode. Great episode.
Yeah.
But today we are here talking about just the skilled trades, just talking about how to enter, evolve, and excel into the skilled trades. And, we see how everything right now is popping up. They're talking about how tradesmen going to be the next millionaires, all this stuff right now. So I'm like, okay, people are trying to wonder, how is this possible? So I think it is possible. So we're just going to chop it up and just talk about it. But the first thing we got to do is you got to get into the skilled trades. So, for me, and I got on here that skilled trades as a first choice. I'm going into the high schools talking to the kids about the benefit of earning and learning a skilled trade. I know you got college, you have the military, you got all these other options. You got TikTok professional, you got all kind of stuff. But if you get into a skilled trade, no matter what you decide to do after that, you can still fall back on that. So it's not a second choice or like a fallback plan. It is the first choice. So let's talk about it. What you guys got to say on the topic?
Well, I'll jump in there real quick because one of the things you mentioned about it being a first choice, and it definitely was my first choice. I knew I wanted to be a bricklayer when I was in 8th grade. Unfortunately, I didn't know anything about the unions and apprenticeships. And I graduated out of high school, and first thing I thought, because the only thing I knew was go to college. Unfortunately, there was no bricklayer colleges, so I ended up going to college and taking carpentry classes to become a carpenter, which was fine with me too, because I liked the carpentry, but I wanted to be a bricklayer. It wasn't until years later that I ran into a union bricklayer who told me about the apprenticeships and all of that, and then I joined. I signed up, and probably within 3 or 4 months, I actually got into the program. Again, that was over 20 some years ago. But one of the things I tell young people, I remember talking to one in particular, and I was talking to him about joining the trades. He was 18, 19, I think he was. And And he was like, well, I don't want to be a construction worker. I said, okay, that's cool. I said, but where you work now? And he told me where he was working. I said, is that your dream job? He said, no. I said, so if you work in a job that you don't want to work, you might as well work one where you're going to make some money and learn a skill. You know what I'm saying? I said, so don't tell me that you don't want to, you don't want to do it. You want to make money, right? He's like, yeah, all right then, And my thing is, even if you decide that it's not something you want to stick with, you still learn a trade. You still make good money while you're learning. And once you learn that trade, that can be your fallback plan if you just want a fallback plan, But, once you get in there and start making that money, it ain't too many other career paths that's going to allow you to make, the kind of money that you can make as a tradesperson. You know what I'm saying? And enjoy it at the same time. Now, it is challenging, and it does, you got to like what you do, but at the end of the day, it's so many trades. It's like pick one. You got plenty of options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
man, that's a great point, Ernest. And just to piggyback, and I think this may have been the second time I've been on this podcast here. I'm telling you, when you talk about exposure and connections, listen, I didn't know what I wanted to do or who I wanted to be when I was 18 years old. Listen, just found out when I was 18 years old, my landlord was a business agent for Local One. Had no idea. Been renting from this guy for 6, 7, 8 years. Had no idea what he did for a living. Right? Just happened to ask me, hey, do you want a summer job before you go to Iowa State? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Right? When that man told me it was $30 an hour, my dad never made that combined. I had never seen a job that paid that much in my life. Right? Now, of course, I went to college. I went the college route because I come from I'm first gen. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. I'm first gen. You got to go to college. You got to go to college. You got to go, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. $150K in debt later, right? But just knowing my landlord and having that summer job, that gave me a seed of understanding about the trades, right? So I'm like, man, I got all this debt, and that debt is soul crushing. And what is it now? $1.77 trillion in debt in the U.S. for student loan debt. I was a part of that group, right?
I
would you say, Keisha?
We all were.
Right. So I went through a 3-year, 6,000-hour apprenticeship with Local One to become a journeyman, and it was life-changing. I saw some really cool things from a leadership perspective. Boots on the ground, field-tested leadership, right? Mm-hmm. Got to watch some really good leaders, learn how to become a leader myself. And just so happens I was out of student debt 4 or 5 years later. This stuff is life-changing. And I'll hand it over, but to Ernest's point, y'all better stop thinking that these trades are a fallback. That's a lie.
Hey, Matt, real quick, how long is the Iron Workers Apprenticeship Program?
It's 3 years. 3 years, 6,000-hour apprenticeship. You earn while you learn. You actually go to work during the day and you take night classes, kind of like the school year. So you out for the summer, but you go all year long. In mine, I think it was 6 to 9, 3 days a week. And they even pay you to go to school. Yeah. They pay you. They give you a couple extra hours, huh?
Yeah, I know the Bricklayers is of course, we're on the job as well, but we only got to go to school one day a week. And then I think it's like one night class.
And how long?
Again, you still out through the summer. The apprenticeship is 4 years, but that last year is pretty much just getting your hours. You don't have no more classes or anything like that. So you'll be on the job working, but you just building your hours up to hit that the hours you need for your journeyman card.
Hey, and guess what? While you in there learning these trades, there's multi-generations, families with multi-generations. The dad, the son, grandsons, that are out here learning how to do these different trades. And I'm telling you, y'all, everybody like, shh.
Now, wait a minute. Look, I ain't about to let y'all men dominate this conversation. So we're going to give the females a chance to speak, because I'm going to tell you, you go for 3 years. Yours is for 4 years. Rosa, go on, tell them what it takes to get
So
there.
mine initially, they changed it. It used to be for the inside wireman, which is what I'm doing. Well, what's 5 years? Now it's 4.
Okay.
So my cohort is the first cohort that now is 4 years. So the first week now our classes are literally a week long, and they're daytime classes. So they're literally Monday through Friday, from like 7:30 to like 4:30 technically, but you be out of there by 3 o'clock. So first day of class, we're hitting DC theory, we're hitting bending conduit, we hitting circuitry. The first day of class. And that continued for the first week. From what I've been hearing from my people out here was when they were in apprenticeship, their first day of class was about tools. They're learning about tools and stuff like that. They took all that out, and they got on the ground boots, let's get it in, because they cut a year out. So now it's really crunch. So when I'm in school, I go to school. I was in class. My first class was in October. So now my next class is going to be in February. So between that time, I have about 5 classes of work to do. Each class has like 5 lessons, 13 different lessons in one class, on top of taking classes at the local community college here. Okay. So my classes actually goes towards a degree when I'm done, but it'd be an associate's degree. So since I already have an associate's, I have to get 2 classes I got to take out here for Reno, because they have like their Reno history class I got to take and a business class. So you take 1 class a year. So I really only have 2 classes to take, and I already have mine for out here. But yeah, it's a 4-year program out here.
Yeah. So I think in actually, I believe every union is a little bit different, even for the same skill trades, because in Memphis, and it's 5 years now, but I know it was 4 years at one point, because when I went through, it went from 5 years to 4 years, but that was because work was prominent like it is now. So they wanted to get journeymen out there, because if not, like, they would have people that weren't trained taking up the work. So they were trying to turn out more apprentices. So they pushed it back to 4 years. And then somewhere along the way between when I finished, oh my gosh, back in 2000, they switched it back over to 5 years. And they go 3 nights a week here. I believe it's 2 nights a week. I think first year apprentices go 3 nights if they have to take a math class. Other than that, it's 2 nights a week from like 5:30 to 8:30. That's what it used to be. And they go kind of like the school, where we go from August to May. And then they're out during the summertime, kind of like what you said, Matt. But every apprenticeship program is different. Yeah. So if anybody's interested in any apprenticeship, you just need to just check with that program to see what the requirements are. So that way you can adjust and adapt to make it work for you.
Yeah.
Hey, Keisha, real quick. I'd be remiss to not mention this, right? So right now, because we talk about the need, because you mentioned something, and Rosa, you mentioned it as well. So right now, they are taking the time of completion. They're shrinking it down, right? Because of the need for qualified workers. Yeah. Right now, I think the last one I heard was 540,000 unfilled jobs in the country because of a shortage of skilled qualified labor.
That's going on. So look, Matt, let me ask you this from a safety professional's perspective. That was a lot of P's. Safety professional perspective. What do you think that does as far as, like, how much more should we put focus on safety, because they're shrinking the program?
Listen, it's so important. It's so important, because when you're out there on that job, see, a lot of people think safety is like some kind of a slogan. That's not what it really is. What we're looking for are qualified folks that know what they're doing out there, but they are also very astute to safety, right? They have a growth mindset. These are very, very safety conscious folks that are out here on these job sites now, right? They're taking a minute, they're pausing their work, they're coming back, they're assessing the risks. So from a safety professional standpoint, we need safety to be incorporated in these curriculums now more than ever.
Yeah, I've seen some things, even with the new people coming in, the younger guys, and I watch them, even though, with me being in my first year, I can see them coming in the CWs, because now they make them wear the yellow hard hats. So they stand out. before they kind of blended in with the blue hearts like everybody else. Now they got this bright yellow, banana yellow. And it's like, so you can see them. And when they're at work and actually on the site, you can see the little thing. You can see the immaturity in them,
Sure.
the standing on thing, standing on this, standing on things they shouldn't be standing on, they're standing on. Everyone's now vaping on site, so that's a thing now, vaping. And I've seen some of the JWs also, because like the last few days I've been in the trenches. I've had to go and run some conduit in the trench, concrete trench, and that's the smoking area, so it's become that, so it's just like, and then you got a team like ACO who has safety, but you wouldn't know it because they swing off things, they jump off things, and it's just, it's crazy.
Yeah. And I hear you there, right? So that culture is a ever living and breathing environment, right? What makes, especially construction, what makes it very unique is on a lot of these job sites, you have travelers that come in from all over the country, right? So they all have different mannerisms, ways they do things, but a culture is universal, right? So that's why we're very, very interested in understanding what the folks out there are thinking, what they want to see in a safe work site. A lot of times, safety culture is imposed on a site, but that's not what keeps the people safe. Y'all know, like, we all tradesmen and women in here. We have to believe in it. And once we believe in it, then we'll shout it on the mountaintops. We're going to make sure everyone's safe. We're going to, sometimes it's that bump by a fellow worker that say, hey, man, or hey, don't do it like that. We got to take a step back.
Absolutely.
It's a leadership thing, but it's an ever living and breathing environment.
That's important.
And
you
Keisha,
mentioned something about being let me say this real quick. You mentioned something about being like a traveler, right? So people don't know what that is, that if you're in the union, there are local unions all across the country. And if you decide, so I'm in Memphis, I've worked in California, I've worked in different states across the country. So if there's a local union in that city, you just have to go and you can sign up for it. Now, there are protocols that they have to where people who are actually who actually are members of that local, they may send them out first. But if you just show up and you sitting there and ain't nobody there but you will go out and you will get a call. So you can go out and start making money immediately. You can go on vacation and be making money. So that's what a traveler is. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ernest.
Yeah. So
great point, Keisha.
Two things I wanted to mention about the traveler. I was a traveler. I worked in Pittsburgh for like 3 or 4 months. I'm originally, like I said, in the Chicagoland area. And so you get per diem, they pay for your hotel and different things. Of course, there's different, different spaces have different, agendas or whatever. But it's definitely something. Once you get your card, you can work anywhere within the United States. I think Canada and Puerto Rico, something like that. And if you just with your particular company, you can work wherever that company works. So one company that we work for, sometimes we've done jobs in Africa and Mexico, just all over. So, that's one thing. But I want to ask Rosa this real quick when we were talking about the apprenticeships, because you was HVAC first. How was that process of getting into HVAC?
Actually, it was fairly easy. So initially when I got in, I went to one of the technical schools out in Atlanta, a school I went to prior, because I went to that school to get my CNA. So once I learned about the trades, it took me 20 years to even learn about trades. I grew up in a house where I had an uncle who was in construction and wasn't aware of what he did. I would just see him leave and come back dusty, and then when things around the house needed to be fixed and upgraded, he would be the one to do it. So I knew he was in construction, but I didn't know exactly what he was doing, So out here in Atlanta, there's a school I went to, like I said, for my CNA, but I was like, let me get into something where I can use my hands, because being in retail management, it was just like, okay, I've done this for too long. I need to do something that won't keep me bored. I constantly keep learning, and I can grow it, So I went back to the school and checked out. They had a program that was for building automation systems. It's a 2-year program. So I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and take that. It has motor controls. I can get into that. I said, this is great. Signed up. I start class. My first few classes happened to be air conditioning classes. Okay, so now I'm like, okay, I'm taking my conditioning classes. I'm learning about refrigerants. In our labs, we're bending copper, we're brazing, we're soldering. So I'm like, okay, this is great. We're doing vacuums on the systems and add a refrigerant. So I'm like, okay, now we're doing something. And I'm like, okay, this is 2 years. I did more research into the program itself and saw that the classes I was taking was actually a certification. So it was like a series of 3 or 4 classes. So I said, okay, so these classes, I was literally at my last class. I said, so let me ask the school, you know, if I decide to stop right here, what does that mean? You know, so they said, well, if you do it right now, you can graduate with certification. Okay. Let's do it, you know. Okay, I don't have to do 2 years. I could do 4. I could do these 4 right here. And they said, yeah. I said, okay, great. So I spoke to my teacher, who actually is a technician as well. I said, okay, so after I'm done with these classes, what's my next step? He said, well, you need to go online and get your EPA certification. I said, okay, so where do I go? So he wrote it on the board. It was ESCO Institute. Cool. So I got online, and as I'm reading the question, because they have practice tests on it, and they're free practice tests. So I go online, as I'm looking at the questions, I just did this in class. I just did this, you know, so I'm like, okay, I know what all this stuff is. So it became a breeze because I literally just learned it the day before yesterday. So I was able to answer the question, you know. So I got to the point where I downloaded on my phone. Now I'm in. I downloaded on my phone.
Locked in.
Yeah, I was all the way locked in. I had the app on my phone for ESCO Institute. So now I'm at work, you know, on my lunch break, asking, you know, going through the questions. I'm studying on my lunch break. I'm studying on my 15-minute breaks because I get to work early. I'm studying before I get into work and clock in. So I was really locked in, you know. So once I got done with my class and I was finished, that happened in December. I have my test scheduled for January. My sister, she actually worked for an HVAC company as a dispatch. So I was like, hey, sis, you know, I'm about to graduate. I'm applying to everything, you know, online, on Indeed. Anything that has to say HVAC, I was applying to. Whether I can do it or not, I was applying. So my sister was like, hey, sis, my job is hiring. Come talk to the service manager. So I said, okay, cool. I go talk to him. He said, once you get your certificate, your EPA, come talk to me. I said, all right. So January, I took my test. After I took my test, I got the universal because I was doing research, learning that once you have universal, you can work with any refrigerant. You know, there's 4 classifications for the test: type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4. So I was like, no, I need universal. That way I can't limit myself. You know, so I did that, got the universal. And then a week later, I went, sat in front of this man, talked to him. He called me a project. He said I was green. You know, he's like, you know, you're a project.
That's a universal word, yeah.
You know, and I'm like, green, what? You know, I said, okay, whatever. You know, he said, so he hired me literally on the spot. He said, so once you do your drug test and all that stuff, I'll put you with guys and kind of rotate you for like a month with different guys a week. They give you some training. And then based on how you do, we'll set you up on your own.
Wow.
Cool. You know, so that was my process there. And within, I did my work. You know, I learned. They started me off as a maintenance tech. You know, so I'm doing maintenances. You know, and the guys that I was with were senior tech. So every now and again they would have like a service call. So I got to see what a service call looks like. You know, so I'm like, okay, so me, I'm a hands-on person. You know, and I could watch you do it. I need to do it. That way I know how to do it. You know, so I was just like, I'm gonna do the next one. You just watch me and let me know what's what. And after that, I took off. It was like, yeah, you know, because I'm mechanically inclined and I've always been. You know, I just had to show them that I wasn't that green like they thought I was. You know.
Man, that's a great story, Rosa, because
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, and Keisha may beat me up for this, but I'm just gonna say it anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, electricians is number one. We
no. I'm
sorry. My bad. Go ahead.
I just want to pause the tape here for a moment, right? Because think about how many people are out there in careers, majors, that has nothing to do with their alignment, like who they are and what they're good at and their gifts. Yeah. Right. I remember being a kid playing in the sandbox, playing with the Tonka trucks and the excavators and all of that stuff. And I remember even then, right? Like that's what I want to be. I want to be a fireman. I want to be an equipment operator. And then somehow society just told us that no, you need to go to college to be educated, to make it out here. And I just I feel some sort of way when I hear someone say, I'm good with my hands, always have been. I know that. They say to thine self be true. Think about how many misfits we have out there that belong out here building the country.
Yeah. And initially, as a child, I took everything apart. I was just that kid that was very curious. I opened the TV to see what it looked like in the back of the TV. Like I was
in a lot of trouble.
I was that kid. I opened everything. I try to, fix everything. I was a kid that I could take a bike. I could take 3 bikes and make a brand new bike out of 3 bikes. I took the parts out and I literally made like a Frankenstein bike. I took a chain, shortened it because I knew in my mind that it's gonna make the bike go faster. I knew for some reason I knew that if I took a link out of that chain, the bike would go faster. Don't ask me how I knew, but I knew. Wow. And my uncle was like, "How do you figure that's gonna work?" I said, "It's gonna work. Watch." And I popped that chain open and I tightened it real tight. 2 pedals. I was halfway down the block. Look at me. And he's just like, you knew. And I'm like, I just knew it. I said, because it had a lot of, leeway. I said, if I tighten this guy up, it's going to change how this bike rides, And with that, but also with me growing up, I also played sports, So I was a kid at 8 years old. I played basketball most of my life, So it just always used my hands. One way or another, I've always used my hands. I was always good at using my hands.
So, Rosa, what would you say to a young person that's out there? I mean, think about if you would have known with those kind of gifts and talents that you have.
Yeah.
Imagine being the 17-year-old Matt Clark that has someone in your life that says, hey, and introduces you to the trades at that age or earlier, or earlier. What can life look like for that person?
Life, like I told Keisha, had I known about the trades when I was 20, if I'd known about HVAC when I was 20, I definitely would have gotten in. Like I said, being from New York, we don't have central air. We just open the window. Or we got a box fan. You can box fan, you put in the window. Box AC.
Oh, that's real.
Yeah. Central. I didn't grow up with central air in my house. If it got hot, you open that window. So
they ain't ready for that conversation though. But go ahead.
But had I had someone do that, now I'd be in a position. And I look into it when we do college versus the trades, right? You know how people be out of debt right now? There won't be any debt. There wouldn't be a debt, because you're conditioned to when you finish high school, you got to go to college. That's what you're told. That's what I was told. And I tried it. But guess what happened? My freshman year of college, I left class. I left my coach and I went and got a job. Because I was like, this college thing is not where it's at, and I don't regret it, and I don't knock people who are still in that mindset. Yeah. But the reality of it is now you're looking at the way things are going. Look at the way the world has shifted, and the direction it's going in right now. College is not where it's at. Because now you're going to be sitting there with this fancy degree and can't find a job.
So I call that wallpaper.
Listen.
I call it wallpaper. I said, that's an expensive wallpaper.
It could be wallpaper. It could be other kind of paper if you're in the wilderness.
Wallpaper. $150,000 piece of wallpaper.
But that's a real thing, though, and I can understand that. I feel that. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. I went through. I was on a 5-year plan. Trust me.
Everyone's supposed to be on.
Almost flunked out of Iowa State. But I had some mentors that were like, "Hey, you want look at this safety thing, right?" I came out with a degree in industrial technology, but and I will say, education has its place, right? It has its place, but when it comes to getting a skill that can generate income almost for the rest of your life, because once you know a skill, no one can take it away from you.
Yeah, not at all.
Education has its place because I'm in safety now. Yeah. So think about, we morph into other careers, but I'm using that education to go tell this generation the real story.
Absolutely. So I know that, so I'm going to say this real quick because I want us to go into our next topic, but just to what day one looks like, how Rosa, she described what her day one was, and just what, the things that you need to do when you get out here and you say, okay, I want to get into the skilled trades. You can't be coming in late. You got to show up on time. You got to show up before time. You got to be ready to work. That means you got to have your tools in hand.
Yep.
Tools can't be in the car. They can't be inside the toolbox. When you need to be at your job site, at your location, wherever you left off yesterday, ready to pick right back up. Whatever time you start, whether it's 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and yes, sometimes we start at 5, 6, 7 a.m. I don't know no job to start after 7, but wherever you are, you need to be there in your work area, not drinking no coffee. You get there early to drink coffee, chop it up, do whatever, and then we ready to work when that clock hits 7, 5, 6, 7. We ready to go to work, and you got to have a good attitude. Like you can't be out here talking crazy to people. You can get somebody hurt on the construction site. So we don't, and you have to be a team player, especially in the electrical field. You have to communicate.
Yep.
You can get somebody. I've seen people get killed because they did not communicate that something was turned on when it should have been turned off. So you got to pay attention. You got to show up ready, and you need to be on time.
That happened twice on my site.
See what I mean? You see what I mean? And
I got 2 different guys within 1 week. Both got hit because there was no communication that it was live.
That's it.
And they require zero effort. All of the stuff you just said requires zero effort. Energy, attitude, and communication.
Yeah.
In order to do well in this thing, you have to learn how to communicate.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you just set me out, Keisha.
I was getting ready to give you I'm about to pass the mic to you because I want to talk about that safety mindset, because you have to have an understanding of the PPE, the rules, and then you have to have respect for your craft. So as electricians, that's how you get hurt. Not having respect for electricians, having respect for your craft. Now I'm gonna turn it over to you, Mike.
Real quick, Keisha, I got a story about that. So when I was younger, I think it was either before I graduated high school or when I was finna graduate high school, I got a job working with the guy as I'll say a carpenter, right? And we just doing little home repairs and stuff. And one of the first things he taught me is you gotta buy your tools. And he said, never let nobody use your tools. So he said he's gonna buy me my first tool, and he bought me the screwdriver. He paid like almost $12 for this one screwdriver, right? And so we're like, all right, cool. He's like, I want on your first check, I want you to buy you a toolbox, and every week I want to see a new tool in this toolbox. Right. So I'm like, all right, cool. So we end up working at this house, and we're changing electrical fixtures and stuff. And so he was like, let me see your screwdriver. And so I gave him the screwdriver, and he goes to work on this electrical the switch or whatever. I don't know what he hit, whatever he didn't turn off. Sparks went flying everywhere. Melted the whole top of the screwdriver. He brings the screwdriver back to me and say, "That's why I told you don't let people use your screwdriver."
I knew you were about to say that. That's why you don't let nobody use your
I'm like, all right. Yeah, that's the one you want. You know what I'm saying?
Like, what happened to my tool? Hey, that's why you don't let nobody borrow your tools.
Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, now I can see Matt's face. Matt got something to say, so we're gonna hear what you got to say, Matt, because I know you over there brewing.
Because I'm over here losing my mind right now. See, you talk about sparks, you talk about people dying. Listen,
safety man about to go crazy on the call.
He just popped out on y'all, like. But it's a great. No, in all seriousness, it's just a great opportunity to talk about, because we hit on safety culture a little bit, right? We listening to Rosa and Keisha and Earnest, we're talking about real life situations that happen out in the field. For anyone that's looking to get into the trades, understand this. Safety is so serious. I've been in safety for almost 16 years. I'm a construction safety professional, and I'm here to let you know that in my career, every single injury, every single incident was preventable. And, they have terms out there that you're going to hear, like, I am my brother's keeper, or I am my sister's keeper. Yes, right? When you're on these job sites, you have to have a growth mindset when it comes to safety. It's like going to the gym, right? You ain't going to just get muscles overnight. It takes repetition. It takes a growth mindset to really absorb the information, understand the reasons why, for lockout, tag out, and, we're locking out equipment to make sure no one gets hurt. And, there's levels to the safety. But at the most basic level, do what you can to be safe. And if you don't know, you better ask somebody. And you have to tap into the experienced people that are on your job site. Tap into your apprenticeship coordinators. There are people, no one wants to get hurt. No one wants to get hurt. But I have seen it's a very fast-paced environment where miscommunication could cost a life. So for those folks that are out there, be serious and intentional about safety. So I just wanted to say that, Keisha, because that's a serious thing.
I've lost friends, so I get you. Hey, safety is very, very important. I'm gonna say this real quick. So I don't know if you guys have seen the program that Home Depot was talking about, to where they're giving certifications. So I work with a nonprofit. I'm actually an instructor for that same program that they're certifying people to go in. This is called a pre-apprenticeship. So they're just giving them a little bit of knowledge so they can go and have something under their belt when they go to the apprenticeships program. So I had one person who came in there and he said, "Oh, I already did OSHA." I said, "What do you do?" "Oh, he did it for barbering school, right?" I said, "Let me tell you something, bro." I said, OSHA for a barber is completely different than OSHA on a construction site, because I know y'all don't have no forklifts in no barbershop. Right. You might have a ladder, but y'all, bruh, you gonna have
barbershop boy.
He told me that he didn't have to take it over because he took OSHA. I already know that. Boy, you gonna get out here and get yourself hurt. You gonna take it over.
Yeah. I want to speak on that real quick. What Matt was talking about when we talk about being our brother's keeper and our sister's keeper on a job site. That's so important, right? And even if, you got to get past, this is your friends, or, these your friends or somebody or whatever, because you never know what could happen. Anytime you step onto a live job site, the potential of getting hurt and the potential of somebody getting hurt is always there, and it's at an all-time high. Because usually there's no safety except the safety that we build as we go along, right? When you come to even when you're building a foundation, you got to dig the hole, but there's no boundaries around that hole because you just dug it. So we have to put that boundary up as we go. And so we have to look out for one another. Even if that's your friend, even if, it's somebody that you don't know that's a part of another trade, you got to speak up and be like, yo, if that person, you feel that person is not being safe or is not going to add safety to the environment of everybody, then you can't let that person, go on the job site. I remember one particular time we was working on a site, and this particular site, you drive in and then we got on the bus, and the bus actually drove us to the job site. And so we're all, loading up on this bus, and this one guy is coming, and he's trying to walk to the bus, but you can tell he was so high on whatever he was on, he couldn't hardly walk straight, and he ended up, I think he dropped his hard head or something, and wanted to reach down and pick it up, but he was too high to even bend down, and he was just staring at it for like 3 minutes. And we was like, this guy can't get on this bus. You know what I'm saying? Because wherever he's working, he's a potential hazard to everybody in the area.
Everybody.
Complete danger.
I don't know if that's your friend or whoever, but we got to call his foreman and be like, dude, you can't let this down on the job site, not in the condition that he was in. So I don't know what it would have costed him or whatever, or I ain't gonna say what it would have cost, what he would have costed himself for showing up to the job like that. But if we were to let him come onto that job site, what else would it have costed somebody else? If
thank you for sharing
that cost somebody's life or something. Yeah, and so we have to get past. The brotherhood is a brotherhood, but if you got any brothers and sisters, I got 8 siblings, right? And no matter how much we love each other, there's sometimes we got to have some hard love with one another. And it's the same thing on that job site. So if you see, like they say, if you see something, say something. If you see something that's not safe and somebody that's doing something not safe, or their behavior is not conducive to the safety of others, you got to say something about it.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that was a mic drop. So we're going to go into our next topic, and we're going to talk about how to evolve. And we're going to talk about AI and how AI is shifting the game right now. You can't stay at the same. I've been in the game for 30 years. Some journeymen out there that's been around. They don't want to level up their game, level up their mindset, but it's going to change whether you want it to or not. Now we know, like I say, I say AI resistant jobs. right? So we got a lot of our skills that are AI resistant, but you can still use AI as all the rest of those tools you got inside your toolbox or your tool pouch. AI is a tool that you can learn how to use to be more effective and more efficient in the job that you do. So let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I
And
want
we
to say
did.
this, Keith. I start off with saying, growing up in Chicago, one of the things I used to tell people, the news is the news, right? And they always got bad things about Chicago, to the point that, most people that's not from the city think that everybody in Chicago is gang members. And I said, well, you're not a gang member. However, you are gang officiated, right? Because you know somebody that is. And so AI is sort of like that. AI may not take your job as a tradesman, but it's definitely going to touch it, in some way. It's going to affect it in some way, whether it's, the foreman or we always talk about the architects. They come up and with these ideas that they done built up, and they want you to, you got to bring it to life. But however, AI is going to touch the job in some kind of way. It may not never, and I don't think it'll never get to the point where it can physically do the job that we do physically, but it definitely will touch the way that the plans, the safety specs, all of those things is definitely gonna, the toolbox talks in the morning about, safety and job analysis and all that is definitely going to touch it. Like I said, I don't think it ever get to the point where it can physically do our jobs, but it will touch our jobs.
Hey, wait, look, Roaster, you got to tell them about the video you sent me last night.
So I came across this video. Russia has this new AI robot, right? Humanoid. And it came out to the Rocky theme music. And it took 2 or 3 steps and went flat on his face. So, of course, Putin, the president, he's embarrassed because he's, trying to introduce this new humanoid robot. It's staggered. Like, it literally, I was like, that man need to be drug tested because the robot was barely able to stand. And he fell flat on his face. So I sent it to Keisha. I said, Keisha, here's your AI. Look, whose job is he going to take?
Right.
Hey, you got to send me that video.
I'm going to see if I can find it, if I can play it on here. Oh, my God. It was hilarious. My only job they taking is...
I get the weirdest things on my news feed. So I was like, oh, yeah, I got to send this to her. Can we just talk about this?
It definitely good points, Ernest. I heard you talk about a couple of things, right? So, with AI, especially in the construction field, it's more of a partner, right? So for those folks who may be just getting into AI, I'm not going to try to act like an AI expert. I can only tell you exactly what I've seen, thus far in the industry. So right now, AI is improving workflows and work planning, right? So I'll give you a quick example. I was looking at for a specific client, I was looking at injury statistics. And what I noticed was that there were a lot of hand injuries, right? Like extremities. So like feet, hands. And I'm really sifting this data to understand, right? I'm okay. I see this commonality here over, say, 200 incidents throughout a portfolio. And AI actually has the ability, if you prompt correctly and you talk to it correctly, it can actually forecast where the next location, in the likelihood of a similar injury. Mm-hmm. So it says you've had 100 incidents in these locations. Well, it looks like from what we're seeing, there could be a potential that it can happen in place number 3 on the job. And you look at it and you're like, oh, it makes sense. We've got trade stacking. There are multiple contractors that are working not on top of each other, but in the vicinity. There's much high risk work going on there. So for the human expert, we're able to look at that and say, hey, is there an opportunity to improve the work planning? Can we have this trade in here for this hour? Can we have it to where they're not so crunched on top of each other to meet schedule? So that's what I've seen, with AI being used. For the folks who are new to AI, I would say too, and I'll drop a comment. I'll drop a link in the comments. Coursive is a really good tool for those folks who are starting out in AI. And it takes you through the roadmap and the journey of learning the different, GPT, Gemini, and also Google has a certification as well, and it's free. We better get on top of it. Y'all better start learning it because it's a real thing.
I know Ernest, Corey, I see he's in the chat, but Ernest introduced me to this person. He's really, really good with AI. I was going to have him on. Hopefully I can get him on when we link up next time. But he talks about all the different tools that are out there that you can use. Really, really, really great discussion. So all those things that you mentioned, I'm trying to get up to speed because this stuff is popping out so fast. It's like it's too much for me. I can't even remember the stuff that I want to remember, let alone something that's new, right?
They tripping with Sora. Yo, the little video one, that's wild, man. That's Sora.
Yeah, Sora and HeyGen, to where you can actually take your content and create somebody that looks like a real person to talk about different kinds. You can create your own avatar, So that's what I think that's like the big thing now they're talking about, like in Hollywood and how they're taking over the industry and the music stuff like that. But as far as for what we discuss as far as for the skilled trades, there's so many things out there that are starting to be automated by artificial intelligence. And it's really good. I mean, just even think about, so I'm gonna say hi to some of my friends. I see Ray, he's with Beyond Educating Foundation, and that's who I'm the instructor for the pre-apprenticeship program. And everything is automated now. So it's like, these classes where I had binders, 4 or 5 inch binders, I would have to carry around my books. It's on the computer now. So things are evolving. So we just need to make sure that we stay on top of it as they come about.
Some of the
best friend.
Yeah. Some of the classes that I saw, like for telecom, they actually have the virtual reality they're doing in classes now. Mm-hmm. So you actually put them on and it kind of puts you literally in a room where it looks like you're literally there. And then you got to kind of go through the steps to troubleshoot or find things, but you literally have on the virtual and you're literally.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. A lot of classes are doing that as well. So that's how they're introducing it as well. Okay, now instead of just doing the books, we're going to put you in the class. We actually put you in the room so you can actually look around and see where you are. And now you got to figure out what's what.
Was it like a HoloLens?
Yeah, it was crazy. Like the way they had it, once you put it on, it was like the whole room, of course it changes, right? But now you're actually in the room that you have all your panels, you have your boards. And it's like, okay, so now from there, what do you do? So here's your scenario. Teacher give you a scenario. Yeah. Where do you go to? How do you figure it out? And how do you fix it?
That's excellent.
Yeah. Yes. So I saw that. I was like, man, that's crazy.
But so what was that video game that was like that? It was a video game to where Oculus or something like that.
Yep, Oculus.
Yeah, Oculus to where it puts you in a different. And that's part of like that.
Well, a lot of companies use Oculus. When I used to work in retail, whenever we did our training, we had to do virtual reality. So for instance, when Walmart hires you, they do Oculus training. So what you do is they go put you in a scenario. You're actually on the floor. It looks like you're actually in Walmart on the floor. Really? And an associate comes up to you and said, "Here's the issue," and you're the manager in the virtual reality, and you have to actually go there and decide what you're going to do and how you're going to do it.
Wow.
So that's how they do it now to see if you're fit for that position.
Wow.
It's all Oculus now. Yeah. But they've been doing that for like the last 5 years, honestly.
Well, even with the people who aren't with different companies like that, I know there are certifications that you can go and you can get. You have to just seek them out to where you can, have that under your belt. So when you go and work for these different companies, you'll show that, okay, I got a certification for XYZ, like you said, for Google or for Oculus or whatever it may be. You'll have a leg up on somebody else who does not have it.
And the AI person will get hired, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Don't forget that.
We got to make sure we keep ourselves. We got to make sure we keep ourselves resistant to AI.
Agreed.
Well, one thing about AI is not going to get down in the trench, so you ain't got to worry about that. AI is not going to run conduit. It's not going to bend the conduit either.
They ain't
and it's not going to lay those bricks. So that's one thing you don't have to worry about. That's where skills come in. When you have that skilled trade, nothing could take that from you because you can't teach AI how to do that.
Yeah. And I think another thing that is good for us, even moving into the future with the way that things may change on how things are built and how things are designed with AI, we still have the old buildings that's still there that AI don't know nothing about. So it may, develop some new technology to build and to construct in different ways, but somebody still got to take care of the old stuff. You know what I mean?
Somebody
Somebody
has to do
still
the
got to
work.
take care of the old brick buildings and things of that nature. So that's why our jobs are AI resistant and it's time resistant. Like as long as you physically can do the work, you can work forever because somebody's always going to need a house, right? For everybody that has a house, somebody got to paint that house. Somebody got to replace them brick. Somebody got to replace them windows. Somebody got to fix some fixtures. You know what I mean? And so we'll always have work as long as we're living and, you know, building structures. Anybody in the building trades will always have a job.
So that's something
absolutely. And they even more dangerous if they know AI.
Yep. And look, when I go into the schools and I talk to the kids and they say they've never heard about any skilled trades, I'll tell them just to look around the room, between the floors, between the ceiling, between the paint, the stairs, everything that you see around, it has to do with skilled trades. I said, you wouldn't even have a school to go to school in. If I said there were hundreds of skilled trades workers that put this building together and they made good money while they did it.
Yep.
What their face look like when you told them that, Keisha? What would their face look like?
They were just like, and no, because first they kind of like sat there. So I said, what if I told you that you can make, after high school, you can make 6 figures in the next 5 years? One person like, oh, it's going to take too long. Well, you can spend 5 years working at a fast food restaurant, or you can spend it learning while you learn.
Hey, Keisha, I would have said you spending 4 years right here in high school. So you know what I'm saying? 4 years in high school. It's going to take too long. I appreciate it. He said he's going to share the conversation with the students in the class. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Another thing about skilled trades. We talk about here because of course we're all here in the U.S. But the trades you learn, you can take it anywhere because now people are talking about living abroad, right? So now people are leaving the country. They want to live somewhere else. This trade, this skill, you can take anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. Well, some countries don't have AI. But it's still a skilled trade. You still need it there. You can still work. You can go anywhere with it.
Man, you go to another country that don't have it, you're gonna look like somebody who invented fire.
Yeah.
You just said somebody.
Like what?
That's a good one though. That's a good one though.
The same.
But what I am
something new.
What I am hearing though, and sorry if you see me look down, I'm actually just jotting some notes, right?
Safety man, y'all watch out. We got the safety man on site.
No, you good. No,
yes.
Taking notes. Ain't gonna do you like that. No, but
5-0.
No, what I
right. 10 on the block. 10 is on the block.
We're hearing about, and just to tie it together, just over the last probably 20 minutes, I'm hearing about the importance of education. I'm hearing about the importance of access. Like to Rosa's story, just access to someone who can tell us that these trades exist. I mean, Keisha does it full time where she's talking to kids about, look at the floors, look at the beams, look at the paint, right? They need access to people who have that type of information. As well as pathways. We've been talking about pathways over the last few minutes. I mean, I've gone into something completely different. Keisha, and, Earnest, and Rosa's looking at some things too. Pathways. There's a lot of different pathways. The trades, to me, I feel, are a launch pad into leadership. It's also a launch pad into whatever you want to do that aligns with your soul, right? You can learn a lot from those trades. You obviously can make great money. Ain't nobody gonna ever get past that. They want how much money I can make. Yeah, but there's a deeper fulfillment from within the trades that I feel is important not to overlook, and eventually it leads to the path of ownership, right? So I'm just writing these down, but like Rosa, lock in. I had to say, like, Rosa, like, I locked in.
Yeah.
Man, Rosa got more. She got more skills under her belt right now. It's like she's changing skill trades, like we changing our socks. It's like Rosa
is on one. She's
doing it.
Yeah.
Rosa's gonna show like I got you. But she's making sure she gets that information. You get that knowledge. Like you said, it's the education side of it. And it's not only that you want to know how to do it, you want to know why it's done that way.
And honestly, that's what I use my TikTok page for. So me being, a lot of people don't know they're female HVAC technicians.
That's right. I did. That's how I found you.
So a lot of people don't know. Like when I've gone to houses, even customers like this, you guys exist, and I'm like, yeah, we do. We do exist. Right. We do. So my TikTok page actually, and it's so funny. Like I was telling Keisha, I started it out as to get side work, and it it snowballed into coaching, advice, where did you get started? How did you get started? So a lot of my videos are telling people what I did, how I did it, where I started, how I started, what made me start. And then also, like I was saying, Keisha, I also have an ebook that's linked to where I literally break down chapter after chapter from start to finish. Yeah, I have it on my page, my TikTok page and my YouTube page. There's a link. Okay. You click on it, you can download it, get the ebook, and I literally have I have about 11 chapters that goes into the necessities, where to start, or, as far as technical schools in your area, research that, from there, once you get these are classes you need to look for, classes you need to take, and then from there, once you get done, how you go online and study for the certifications that you need, in order to work, right? And then from there, I also have a section for women, scholarships, not to knock out the guys, but, with us being the small percentage in the field, I have a chapter strictly on just women, scholarships that says for women, how to get in for different trades, stuff like that, and a process for that. So I literally have an ebook on my page now as we speak.
That's right.
Because I get calls, I did a one-on-one call. I had a guy inbox me. He wanted to talk to me one-on-one, so I set up a meeting with him, and he had a lot of questions on, like, as an HVAC technician, how do you deal with angry customers? How you deal with angry homeowners. So my videos, and what I do also is I go through the comments, and all the questions that I get, and I make videos off those questions.
Just put it
So I do that. So, and a lot of people I got females asking me for their boyfriends and their fiancés how to get in. I got grandmas asking for their grandsons how to get in, so my page has literally become that.
Oh, I'm a fan. I'm doing.
Now, Rosa, is your TikTok thing? Is it Rosa _ the female HVAC tech on TikTok?
It is Rosa yeah.
Okay,
you. So like right now, like I told Keisha, if you Google me, Rosa female, my pages pop up. I pop up to myself on YouTube. So yeah, that's I'm becoming now where I'm talking to people, and I get like a lot of young guys, who's I just finished high school. What do I do? And I've give them advice on the areas that they're in, depending on your state. There's always a technical school somewhere around you, right? So I tell them, hey, this is the program you need to look into. Find out how long the program. Some of them maybe even 6 months. Just what happens. Mine was in a built-in program I was already in, which only ended up being 4 months. So within that 6 months time, I went through my process, got, testing, got my job, and now I'm in a whole new trade.
That's beautiful.
So
and look. And I don't know if you heard me, but I said that you do with them angry customers, go out there and pull that capacitor. Trust me, they're gonna call you back.
But like I tell the guy, he was like, how do you deal with angry homeowners? I said, you got to remember, they're not mad at you, they're mad at the problem.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So if I call 5 different companies to come fix an issue in my home and not one person was able to fix it, I'm pissed off.
Yeah. Sure.
And now you're number 6.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't be coming into the backlash.
So Rosa, real quick. Emotional intelligence.
Yeah, gotta have that.
About 20 minutes ago, that's something I mentioned. The importance of having that emotional intelligence and having good communication skills and having empathy, right? That's really important, especially in the trades, because you're working with a client, you're working with your teammates, you're working with the project manager, and they're all under pressure.
Right. Yeah.
I think one of the most overlooked skills, and this is coming straight from the Chief Energy Officer desk, one of the most overlooked skills is emotional intelligence and empathy.
Exactly. So I'm going to tell you this so seriously. So that's why actually for the technicians who are already working for the companies, I talk to them about understanding and regulating their own emotions. So I have a leadership launch pad that I developed strictly for technicians, for technical professionals, because everything's about maintenance until something needs to be added or something needs to be fixed, right? They don't think about it. And I recently heard that through where I work at now, to where her name is Miss Cheers. She told me it's no longer called soft skills, it's called power skills. I'm like, I like it.
And that's a term,
really?
Right? Yeah. They're power skills. So they're power skills to where it helps them to understand those leadership things that they don't get in the apprenticeship program. Because in the apprenticeship, we're talking to you about how to develop your skill. They're speaking about the craft. They're not speaking about how to develop you as a person, as far as like that self-awareness. So that's something that I saw that there was a gap there. by working with technicians, by working, side by side, and then leading them on teams where it's like, okay, yeah, what y'all arguing for? This is just crazy, and even in the skilled trades, we already know there's no HR on the construction site.
No,
there's no HR. You got the chief energy officer that might show up periodically, but he ain't gonna be out there every day. So you have to learn how to deal with those situations, right? And we all out there every day. We don't want to see the same.
We don't always work it out.
But you have to learn how to regulate your emotions. And it's like, because somebody, they may escalate, and that's when people get hurt.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to.
And one thing that, especially and at least in our area, and I'm sure it's in other areas too, you end up working with the same guys on every job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like generally, some guys may change, but on every job, you're running into the same guys that you just worked with on the last one. So if you get into it with somebody, you're going to see that person again. You know what I'm saying? And so you don't want to go to every job site and having to deal with the same issue on every site. So it's better to, again, build those skills, know how to de-escalate a situation and walk away from it, if you need to, because you're going to run into the guy on the next job, So you want to make sure you do that.
And you guys are all in the you already know you can get blackballed because you will. There's other contractors that you can go work for, and sometimes you'll get a bad rep. So your reputation may precede you, and they may turn you away, which they can do. They don't have to.
This is getting good.
So I'm just saying, you have to watch your attitude because your respect first of all, respect goes both ways, but the respect that you get on the job site, that can make or break your career. And it takes people who have good personalities on the job site. The contractors know that, and they want those people to come and work for them. They don't want no troublemakers out there. So how you treat people really determines how far you go.
And that goes to the story I started telling you this morning when we first started talking about the so-called hazing.
Yeah.
Same situation. That was so when you came in, Matt, I was telling Keisha about a story about me on the site, and another female, JW, called herself trying to haze me. Trying to show up for the guys, just to put her chest up or whatever. And I just let her know I'm not with it. Get out my face. I don't care what your level is. The other day you want respect, you're not gonna get it from me this way. And I walked away a few times, and she kept following me and getting in my face a few times, trying to. I said, I don't know what you're trying to prove. I said, but it's not going to work here. So I suggest you to get out of my face. And I was very respectful about it. But I'm like, once she was shorter than me, so I'm like looking down at her like, shorty, get out of here. Try not to let the New York come out of me, So I was just like, if only you knew, So
that's
she back up.
That's what we were just talking about. And I'm sure, Keisha, and I'm sure this is definitely something we could cover in a whole nother segment.
We're going to talk about this on the next one for real. We're going to deep dive on that one.
When she mentioned the emotional, having emotional, and for me, it was just like, I stepped away because I knew how to deal with that. Me having, now they say they want to call it power skills, my soft skills stepped in. Because being in management, I developed that along the years.
Yeah.
So I knew how to de-escalate and walk off. Although you kept following me, I still kept walking off because I'm not going to engage you. I'm not going to give you the energy that you want.
And that's great that you're saying that, because in construction, specifically in the high risk trades, that's what I do day in, day out. I work with people all over the country, and I actually am teaching them communication skills, skills that are going to pay the bills, and skills that are going to have them in the best light in their careers to grow as a person. Right. So I love that I'm hearing this. This is awesome.
And I like it. Skills that pay the bills. We're going to have to put, that's it right there.
That's it.
Skills that pay the bills.
These are the true skills that pay the bills, y'all.
Yes.
We're going to learn how to use the
tools.
Yep.
Yes.
But this is the real skill right here. And the real skill is here.
And there's also AI resistant.
And it's AI resistant. Come on with it now.
But it's a good therapist, though.
Yes. That's the segue into our last topic. We're going to talk about how to excel. And I know, Matt, you kind of tapped on it, right? To where you were talking about just the things that you were doing beyond it. And then Rosa, too. So it's like, we start taking the trades. Once we get through school, you start turning that into a business. Because I was reading something this morning where they were talking about, the only way that somebody who has a skilled trade can become a millionaire is if they open their own business. Well, I mean, that was somebody that actually don't have a skilled trade, because we already know once we finish it, we can turn it into a business right there. I can go work for myself anytime that I get ready because I'm licensed and I'm certified. Right. So whether I choose to or not, that's up to me. So let's talk about it.
That's a good one. Go ahead, Ernest. Yep.
I'll even say this, Keisha, right? Because after my 20-some years, I ain't trying to be doing this forever. Me personally, I love it, but I ain't trying to be doing it forever. And even I get called for side jobs. People like, hey, I want to get this done, and I'm like, yeah, let me connect you with somebody.
Thank you.
So that's another part too, because I call my homies right up and be like, hey, I got a job. So you go knock it out. Give me my percentage. You know what I'm saying, and we good. So even on that part, even being like a dispatch, if you want to call it that, you know what I mean, to have other people to
that's what it is.
Job.
You're contracting out the work.
Yeah. So you you can excel to the point that you ain't even got to pick the tools up. You know what I mean? You just be the one that connect the guys with the work, and so that's just one way to do it. Outside of using your skills to begin to build something. In the trades, or like myself, and even like Keisha, to even take what you learned in the trades and build a whole separate business within itself, and use those skills to help build that, that teach, or to literally use the money that you make as a skilled tradesperson to invest in whatever it is, your next entity is. So it's a key way to so many different paths that you never stop growing. As long as you want to grow, you'll never stop growing.
That's right.
That's a great point, Ernest. I can say from my chair, right? These trades have led me places. I'm just so thankful. Like I like, a lot of times I just sit back and I wonder like how, right? Like 25 years later, how? Because, I learned on the tools years ago, and it led me to safety, right? And being able to connect with the hearts and minds of craft workers in every trade all over the country. The trades opened up a Rolodex so large, right? But then we start thinking about what's our legacy. We start thinking about what gift or what do I feel can add value to the world, right? So then we start thinking about business ownership, right? To Ernest's point, right? I mean, my wife and I, we own a full service commercial and residential window cleaning business and a holiday lighting business, right? All under the same company, Sparkle Squad. But what's really cool about it is we were able to hire two 19-year-old kids that just got out of school out of high school, and they said, we don't want to go to college. And I remember, like, we just started Sparkle Squad about 6 months ago, and my wife and I were sitting at the table one night, and we say, I think it's time we start a legacy, because we feel that every human being should have access and a pathway to ownership. And we didn't know how we were going to do it, right? We were just sitting there like, man, I wish we could give them a job. Or I could easily pick up a phone and call somebody and get them a safety job. You don't need a degree for that. Mm-hmm. I could easily pick up the phone and call somebody at the hall and get them a job as a wireman, right? No degree required. Mm-hmm. But my wife, Rebecca a beast. She said we call her Rebecca 100 because she do everything 100%. Like ain't no half stepping. She say we starting up a window cleaning business. Boom! I'm like, woo! I'm like, what are we doing? She like, no, we gonna franchise out. We gonna open up a full service window cleaning company. We gonna do gutters. We gonna do power washing and pressure washing. We gonna teach these kids a trade. We're going to hire these kids and we're going to grow it to a 7-figure business. I was like, whoa. But really what it was legacy. And I felt that. It scared me at first because I never thought about it that way. But it's the way. And the right things happen at the right time. We have two kids that are earning. They're earning, they're growing, they're learning from two seasoned business owners, because we are seasoned now, right? And I also get to speak to kids and 9 through 12 and trade associations. about retention, right? They have high retention, in the trades, in the schools, they may have low retention rates, or maybe struggling to attract Gen Y and Gen Z into the trades. But through speaking and consultancy, that's the path I took. It ain't everybody's path, but it's the path that I took because I feel like I could give the most value. And I also teach companies how to create world-class safety cultures and do it at scale. So where could these trades take you? If you ain't listening to Earnest and Keisha and me by now, I don't know what to tell you, but I know the possibilities that are out there for those who believe and want to add more value into the world. I know, Keisha, I went on a run. My fault.
Man, I already know I'm used to you by now. No, but you be dropping some gems, or you be dropping some gems. So I'm like, hey, I just let you roll with it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
We already know the safety man come with extra notes. He got all his notebooks. He gonna be ready.
You already know.
Look, but let's talk about just the different things. So when you go into starting your own business, this is not just as simple like, okay, I'm gonna open up this business. I've been an entrepreneur now for like almost 2 years. It's a lot. First of all, you need to get an EIN number. You need to get you an actual email address other than just a Gmail. Then you got to go get you some insurance. So you got to get all these things. And I know there's probably some more out there that I'm missing, but those are just the essentials. And then if you have a logo, you have a brand name, you need to get a trademark because somebody can steal your idea right up under your nose. People tell me that they were making money on using a name and didn't even notice it was somebody else was using it somewhere else. So, and I don't even know who started what first, but they had to rebrand because somebody had stolen their name and I got a trademark before they did.
That's wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
that also goes back. Right. But that goes back to what I was saying, with everything that you just mentioned that you need to start a business, out of that cost. So if you're already in the trades and you're already making decent money, then your money that you make with your trades can fund whatever that next thing is that you're walking into, that next season of your life.
Dream.
That's right.
So
So what do you do as far as like you take the money that you make and then you invest it back in yourself? You can take and go do a whole bunch of stuff with it, but you need to invest it in yourself, whether it be getting self-development classes so you can develop your emotional intelligence, whether it be buying homes so that you can get that generational wealth. You start doing things to where you invest to where you can take your money and let it make money for you. Because I've been in for 30 years and I'm like you. I'm not climbing in no attics. I'm sorry. I call my friends that are younger to come and do electrical work at my house because I ain't trying to do it. I know how to do it, but I don't want to get out there and do it. So somebody asked me about, oh, can you come to my house? Whoa. That's like you trying to ask Jordan to get on the court and go play a basketball game right now. So, he ain't trying to suit up, but he's going to sit on the sidelines and teach them. I'm not trying to get out there like that. Saying, I can and I will if it's necessary. But other than that, I'm like, he ain't even on here. I'm like, nephew, can you come to the crib? Make sure you go fix this for me.
Right. Yep.
Shout out to LaShawn. I think he out there watching,
Hey, I love it though. But you evolve to where you're able to take the path of entrepreneurship. And I think folks are just missing it because they don't know.
Yeah.
They literally don't know.
Yeah. I was one of those people who didn't know.
Yeah, and you definitely can evolve fast. And I just share this quick story. I was on the job. I think this is about a year ago. I was on the job and we probably had like a 10-man crew, and so the supervisor come in at the beginning of the day to, tell everybody what their jobs is going to be. And one of the safety jobs that we have is called a hold watch. And so a hold watch is when you're going in and out of spaces that's not built for human occupancy. So we have to monitor the air and things like that to make sure that it's safe for people to be in there. And so as he's getting ready to go over the jobs for the day, he said, well, Ernest, I'll let you be the hold watch because you're the oldest guy here. And I said, what? I ain't the oldest guy here. And I looked around this room and I'm like, when did I become the old guy on the job? You know what I mean? No. And then so like you said, you can evolve into certain spaces as you be there and you're working in your career and the time goes fast. And before you know it, you know, you was an apprentice yesterday, and now today you're leading apprentices, you know, and sometimes you don't even recognize that transition. But like I said, I turned around and I was the old guy on the job. I'm like, man, I don't believe I'm the oldest one out of our you know, the crew that we had, you know, as far as years on the job. I was the oldest, had the most years on the job. I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
You're OG now.
A couple years ago, I was an apprentice.
Look, I remember, I think I felt like that when I was actually in management and they gave me a new phone and I didn't know how to program the phone. When it said, can you fix this phone for me? I'm like, man, look, it'd be too much going on. You know, it's more than just hooking. Don't be looking at me like that, man, because you're younger than me too. Look, these 52-year-old eyes, I'll be 52 Friday, okay? I'm like, if I take these glasses off, all y'all look the same to me right now. So I'm not going to look at the screen.
I just had mine because I wear contacts. Believe me.
I got LASIK, so I'm not gonna say anything.
but I love it though, because you know, Ernest, to your point, right? They looking at you, they look up to you. Yeah. Right. They, you know, you've been around, you got a lot of wisdom. Keisha, the same. You got a lot of wisdom. You out there giving people free game, like game when it comes to these trades. Rosa, you in it.
Yeah.
You in it. Like now, I'll tell you something real crazy. I just hired a 3rd generation safety person. I hired the father 15 years ago. Yeah. About 14, 15 years ago, I hired the dad. I worked for the dad. And then I hired the son. And then the son's son. And he called me, hey, I need a job. You know, I'm here. I'm in Vegas. I'm going here. I'm like, who are you? And where's your resume? But once he sent it over and I saw it, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I talked to him and vetted him because I vet everybody. I hired him and I put him to work, and it just dawned on me that that's 3 generations of safety.
Wow.
So that let me know I ain't no spring chicken in the game no more. So that's.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out, how did I go from being somebody who had just got licensed? It's been 30 years. Like, well, I can't believe it's been that long. Seriously. I mean, like, it's 30 years just kind of just flew by. And I think it really hits when I hear somebody else read my bio and I'm like, dang, I did all that.
yes, you did do all that. So think about this. Think about how many people are on this call right now that are like, wow.
Yeah.
That their vision is open now. Just here, at least a little bit.
Right.
And just even us being on this platform, that's a part of AI right there, to where we're even able to just get on here to share this message all around the world. Anybody, once it loads, anybody will be able to see this information and get the game that we just dropped. So, I mean, AI, once again, it's just a tool to help you to advance and to develop yourself. It's not meant to take over your job.
Yeah. Even us being on here, Keisha, all 4 of us are in different states. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So even us just being on here together is a testament to it.
Different time zones.
Of where you can go with your trades as well, because we are all different spaces, all different trades, and we all still doing our thing. So.
Yeah, because I'm in Memphis. You're in Chicago. Matt, you are in Iowa.
Yep, I'm in Des Moines. Yep,
in Des Moines.
I've been here about 15 years.
Are you in?
I'm in Nevada.
In Nevada. You know what I mean? So yeah. All over the country, and we coming together just to make sure that we drop this game for people who want to understand more about the skilled trades. We see the benefit of it. I mean, we've been a product of what we're trying to tell people about. Yeah. If anybody want to say, oh no, that's not good, no, take it. I'm telling you, I'm a single mother, 4 children. I not only put myself through college, I put my kids through college as well. I got one of them going through right now. Man, that's a whole nother conversation. But, being able to do that through the skilled trades. I mean, I'm sorry, but I think she said this to me. I don't know who it was. So if you aren't listening, I can't say, I'm not going to give you credit, but she said pink collar, those pink collar jobs. The pink collar jobs, like the ones that are traditionally that they think that women should take. And so now I'm going to get into those blue collar roles. It's like, those pink collar jobs wouldn't have afforded me the opportunities that I've had to be a part of to help me put myself through college, put my kids through college. You know what I mean? To where I can even sit right here and talk about the last 30 years. And yeah, I'm not gonna say it was easy. It was difficult at times, but you know, it all builds character. It made me into the person that I am right now. And I even talk about, so you know, even I speak on mindset, I speak on resilience. I talk to people about the different things that I learned being organized. I learned how to be organized from working with different journeymen who wouldn't let me do anything less than be organized on the construction site.
That
That's
part.
like I do. Show up on time, before time. You know what I mean? These are all the rules that were embedded in me over the last 30 years. So now I can show up, and it's like I can talk to somebody in leadership about how to organize anything because I've learned how to do it and I've made it a part of my life. So it's a part of me now. So these are the skills, and I call them the leadership lessons that I learned when I was in the field. They made me into the person that I am right now.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That my son Weldon, he got a 3.9 GPA. If Park wasn't wrestling and could go on a D1 scholarship, probably Park welding. He welding now. well, no, seriously, because that's where we at. We don't play in our house when it comes to trades. Our children Parker will be 17 in January, Maddie will be 15. Well, she's 15, she'll be 16 in August. And they look at the pictures with just so much pride back when I was on the iron. And they've lived through that evolution. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they know. They like, Dad does something completely different now, but his heart is in the trades. Mm-hmm. To where they feel good to, hey, Dad, I'm learning how to weld right now. I'm like, oh, okay, let's go dust that weld off. Right? Mm-hmm. They see the pride in that kind of work. And I'm telling you, they lied to y'all. It's so much knowledge and so much pride in the trades, y'all. Oh, yeah. I promise you.
Yeah.
Right, like right now I have, it's so funny, one of my nieces, she's 7 years old. And her mom, I just I talk to her like on WhatsApp when I'm normally at work. So she sees like when I'm doing videos to show her what I'm doing. And she's going through my TikTok videos now to see what her auntie does. You know, and her mom was like, yeah, I'm going to start her out early. I said, like, she's 7. Let's go. That's I said, so she's watching my videos and she sees what I do at work. And, you know, I send her videos of me being on site, you know, me having to go up on the scaffold and take down some cable. And, you know, she asked me questions. Why were you so high? What was you doing up there? And, you know, what do you got to do? And I do my videos with her. She's 7, you know, already piquing her interest. And I'm like, let's go. Let's get this generation hyped now, you know,
that's good.
7. And get them in knowing now what's going, you know, my aunt did that when I was a kid. And, you know, yeah. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now with my nieces.
They need something to believe in.
Oh, yeah.
If it's one thing this generation need, not more than ever, is they need something to believe in that they can take care of themselves and their families for generations to come.
And I told her.
They've been lied to too long.
And I told her, because she's 7 years old, told me she wants a pink Tesla. I said, well, you get in these trades, you'll get your pink Tesla.
Go get that bread.
I know me. I got the pink tool. You already know that. Hey, I'm trying to get my pink tool.
He's like, hey.
Yeah. Actually, and that also goes into legacy and even how we started this whole thing. You know, one of the things that when we think about it, and I you know talk about this sometime, when you think about the pyramids in Egypt, you know, and how long they've been standing, and knowing that somebody physically had to build that. Imagine if you could trace your bloodline back to some of your family members that was working on that, and be able to say, my grandfather, great, however far back, you know, helped build them pyramids. And so I'm here in Chicago, and we have what's called, it used to be called the Sears Tower, now it's called the Willis Tower, you know, but it's a tall building one here in Chicago. And to be able to say, hey, my grandfather or whoever worked on that building, you know, is something to take pride in. And so there's two projects that I've worked on before I started getting into like working into the mills and you know the industry side. But I worked on an AME church in Gary, Indiana, and I worked on Hobart High School in Hobart, Indiana. And both of those, you know, beautiful buildings are still standing. You know, and I'm able to say, hey, I built that, you know, even to my kids, you know, we drive past it all the time, you know, when we're driving around and going down the street and they drive past that same street and say, hey, my dad built that building, you know what I'm saying? And so that's legacy that's being passed down, you know, generation to generation, again, building that pride that, you know, that outlasts you. Those buildings probably be standing long after I'm gone, but my kids and my grandkids' kids can be like, "Yo, my grandfather built that church. You know, my grandfather built that school." So yeah, it goes back
I love
to
it,
the legacy
man.
that you
Hey,
build as
hey,
well.
so Ernest, so where in that building did you leave your mark? Because I know you had to put something on there that where you
So
put your name.
That's right.
Come on now, you know we got autograph our
so,
work. So where you leave your name
so
at?
Put the little initials.
so one of the things that is definitely frowned upon as being a bricklayer when you're so
Allegedly,
some
where did you
buildings,
put it? No.
yeah, right. So when you're building a building with bricks that have different shades of brick, or different color brick, you know, the laborers mix them all up, and so that they, you know, so you lay them and they don't look like there's a specific pattern. But some guys have been known to lay them brick out where it leaves a letter, like an E or a J, for instance, you know, on the back wall of the school near the parking lot. You know what I'm saying? So I've heard, you know, I haven't seen it because it's frowned upon, but you know, but yeah, sometimes, and then even another thing, going back to legacy, of even, you know, guys have been known to like write a letter or something and put it like in the cell of a block because, you know, let's say hundreds of years, they decide to add on to the school. And so they have to break into that wall. Now you have a letter that say, hey, this journeyman left this letter that he wrote 100 years ago, you know, just describing his experience or whatever while working on this building, you know, so things like that is you know, be left behind as well.
Matt, what's something that you guys leave as iron workers?
And you know,
Allegedly.
we allegedly, we may put, you know, little scribble in one of the corners of the beam. You know, maybe we might, you know, go to a little corner real quick with some initials that can't get caught by quality control. You know, they turn that building over, and then you know it's there. And but I will tell you, you know, I felt you, Ernest, what you just said right now about those two structures that you built, and I built Trump Tower from the ground up.
Wow.
All rods. I started out; it was a hole in the ground, and I got out there. I was an apprentice. I had on a tool belt. Talked to my foreman. His name was Doug Bass, and he whistled, and 52 journeymen got out of the truck, and we all went in there for the grade beams.
Was that in Vegas?
Like that was day one of construction for Trump.
Was that in Las Vegas?
Huh?
Trump Towers in Las Vegas?
No, Trump Tower, Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I built all 96 of them. So I was on there the entire apprenticeship.
You said that with his whole chest. I built all 96.
Yeah, I said it with my whole chest. Yeah. That was all rebar, by the way. That's all rebar, by the way, right? But I also remember it was the neighborhood bar that was right next to Trump called Rossi's. And I'll never forget, we all had a drink in there on a Friday night, and none of us knew that job was over because we was all at the top of it, and we just thought it'd always be tomorrow. Like, you know what I'm saying? We're going to get back together next week. Never did we know we'd be taking the last drink together as a team.
Yeah.
Wow. And I'm gonna tell you this, and that's something that, you know, you have to think about too for the skilled trades. That's another reason why it's essential for people to go into get their own companies and different things like that, or to go into maintenance after, to just use the trades as a stepping stone and not a plateau, because every time you literally work yourself out of a job. Once the job is complete, you have to go somewhere else. Now, right now, like you said, we got over 540 something thousand jobs that are open in this for the skilled trade. So you can go back to the union hall or to the contractor, whoever you work for, and there'll be more work for you. But it hasn't always been like that. It's been times where I've been on unemployment, where I had to go get food stamps, where I had to go get these things because there was no work out there, right? And before I had started my own company, these are things that I had to think about. It's like, okay, so what am I going to do to help to better myself? So that's what I decided to go back to school, and I got a certification in instrumentation. Then, you know, I went through different programs for safety and different things like that. And then I got my journeyman's license in 2000, and I applied for a maintenance position. Because, you know, maintenance is a little bit different. Like I said, now you got HR. You definitely have to think about those emotional intelligence and safety and different things like that. But now it was a point to where I didn't have to worry about whether I was going to work myself out of a job, because there was always equipment that had to be maintained.
Yeah. And also to go back to one of the things you're talking about, we mentioned earlier, and Matt, what you just mentioned too, Keisha, about getting to the end of the job, and then even adding to the legacy part of that. There's been 2 projects that we've worked on as bricklayers that I laid the last brick. You know what I mean? That had to finish the project. And I remember the first year that I did it, you know, we were all working. It was like, all right, got to the end, and it's sort of like the end of the day. And it's like the last 5 brick I had to lay. And then that last brick, you know, everybody just kind of stood around, like came and watched, like, all right, this the last brick, Earnest. You know, you get to put the last brick on the job, and then it's over. You know what I'm saying? And so I laid that last brick, and it was like, all right, we done. You know what I mean? And so even that legacy, to be able to do that twice in my career, where I had the opportunity to lay that last brick to be the end of the project. But also going to what you said, Keisha, too, you know, even as we're promoting going into the trades, there is a time that you may come to where you may get laid off and things of that nature. But by us having these conversations and talking about being business owners, you know, going in and having that mindset that, okay, while I'm working, let me make sure I'm putting something up and building my own thing on the side. So when that layoff time come, or when that end of the project come, I'm not out here just like, oh, I ain't got nothing left over. Like, no, I've been building while I've been building. You know what I'm saying? And we build your own business, build your own company and things, you know, that you may want to do, so that when you do have that downtime, now you can go right into building your own stuff as well.
Well, I'm going to say this, and I said this earlier, but, you know, electricians, we literally are the alpha and the omega of the construction side. We the first ones there, and we the last ones to leave. And honestly, most of the jobs that I've been on, I probably have been laid off because really they wanted change orders. There were all kind of things that came up after the project had ended to where electricians were still there on the site. So there's always work for electricians.
You end up going back.
You know what I mean? Yes.
You get 2 checks, and then you be back there
and be back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because
like,
now we got change orders. So, you know, you end up going right back to the same job site because now there's more work that needs to be done out there.
Yeah.
And even talking about legacy, even for me coming in now, starting with this whole Google campus, you know, and me coming in the beginning of a giant data center that's being built out here in the desert in Nevada, right? So now a legacy for me would be, I was a part of it. I built that Google data center. You know, so when one campus is done, we move on to the next campus. Because out here, the contract they have for Google is like for the next 8 years. So when I tell you the travelers are everywhere out here, they are coming out here. They're giving them the per diem. They just gave us last week an incentive on top of the per diem. So it's out here. Wow. You know, it is literally out here.
Hey, she ain't lying. Hey, listen.
They're getting ready to build a Google facility in Memphis. I mean, no, it's in West Memphis. It's right across the bridge, but still, it's like right here. So 8 years, that's a long time.
Yeah.
You just have to say, Rosa, whoever listening, y'all might want to listen to what Rosa's saying.
Yeah.
The digital infrastructure, it is here. $1 trillion investments.
Yep.
In mission critical data center work throughout the U.S.
Yep.
Please listen. Anybody listening here today, or that take it back to your students or to your loved ones, look at data center construction. They can't find enough people.
No, we're constantly jobs. Like our hall, they had about 300 open calls.
Listen,
and then look, you know,
they're still open. They're still open.
Data centers. Even after they finish in 8 years, you know who they're going to need to maintain that data center?
Listen, I'm a data center construction safety expert. You are hearing it directly from us.
Yep.
Look at these data centers. $1 trillion investments.
Yeah, it's massive.
2035.
Yep.
I literally did I did a video on it, Keisha.
You gotta send it to me. Look, I was supposed to be finding that other video. See, that's what happened. I'm 52, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my mind ready to start saying it on Friday. I'm like 49.98 right now. I'm 41.98. So I'll be. Did I say 40?
Boy. You said 41.
51.9. Don't get my numbers all wrong. Okay, I can't formulate my mouth to say it. I'm about to be 52. But you can get real quick.
I'll drop the video in the chat.
Man, I forgot.
Yeah.
Well,
So
happy birthday, Keisha, definitely. And also, I want to shout out
Hey,
Keisha for something else as the being a chapter president of the Next Level Speakers
Oh yeah.
chapter, the ATM. Is that what is
ATM,
that? It is
Arkansas,
ATM.
Tennessee,
Yeah,
Mississippi.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they just had their inauguration yesterday. I wasn't able to make it, but I definitely called my girl and congratulated her. And I had my people go and represent for
Yeah.
Chicago. But yeah, I definitely
Chicago
want to
was
say
the
happy
building.
birthday and congratulations on that.
yeah,
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
congrats.
It was if you know, and I know Matt, I know you're in like next level. It was a mini mastermind. I had swag bags, I had food, we had chicken and waffles, we had a stage, we had a DJ. So that nice
dang.
production. Just go if it's still there. Go and look on the story. Go and look at my story. Go look at next level story, and you'll see all this. You know, we had a great time. You should have showed up. You should have been there. Thank you,
Hey,
thank you.
we out here teaching right now. It's kind of
Exactly.
crazy right now in Q4.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, look, yeah, we've been on here for an hour and a half already, and we can talk about skilled trades all day long. But that's the benefit of having an understanding of skilled trade is that you can just talk about it. And we're at the phases now where we're learning about it, we're teaching about it, and we're trying to make sure we pass that legacy over to the next generation.
Yeah.
So look for us to come at least once a month to have these discussions. But if you are interested in bringing us out to speak to your school, to speak to your teams, to your organization, whatever the case may be, you can go to craftingcareers@build.com. And if it's somebody specifically that you want, you can list their names too. We'll make sure that we get the information over to them. Or if you want all of us to come out, we can come out as a team because that's what we do.
Let's
We
go.
come to the
Let's
organization,
go.
we can take
Whoa.
your school, and we can let the kids know that AI ain't taking our jobs.
No.
What we do is AI resistant. So, and y'all already know me, put my name up here, Keisha L. Blair, aka Keisha the Electrician. You can find me on social media on YouTube and Instagram at Keisha_the_electrician. Or if you go to Facebook and LinkedIn, that's my government name. That's Keisha L. Blair. So yeah. But I have and I'm going to shout out the program that I'm working for right now, which is Tennessee Builders Education Foundation, TBEF. Like I said, they're the program that I'm working with, and also Beyond Educating Foundation in Memphis, Tennessee, to where they are doing some great work. People who, they're telling them, look, you can learn a skilled trade. And people who are intimidated by tools or electricity, whatever the case may be, they're helping them to get those skills that they need so they can go and apply for these apprenticeships. But not only that, they're bringing they're bringing the people who employ them to the people that they train to help them get jobs. So they're doing some great work right here in Memphis. But if you guys are interested in bringing these tradespeople in to your organization or to your school, just you hit me up and you let us know, craftingcareers@build.com. And who's next? Somebody take them. No, I'm gonna give it to Matt. Go on, Matt.
Yep, Chief Energy Officer 2 Matt Clark over there on Instagram. Tap in.
Say that one more time.
2 Matt Clark. The number 2 Matt Clark.
Matt with 2 T's. Matt, yeah, Matt 2 T's. 2 Matt Clark.
Yeah. And you can find me as Earnest James on Instagram, Earnest James on Facebook as well. You also look me up on YouTube on my YouTube channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. And check me out on my podcast, the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast.
Me, I'm not on any of those. Not on Facebook, not on Instagram. However, you can find me though on YouTube and TikTok at Rosa the Female HVAC Technician. You Google me, I come up. I'm just right now trying to build a platform just for people and give out information, and teach people how to, go to those levels. And I have people who come to me and ask me, I've been in my job for 30 years, so I'm scared to transition over. Do it. Do it. I did it. Just do it. I came in thinking because of my age, I'm making the right decision, but I have no regrets, and it's just going to go up from here, and I'm looking forward to the journey. So, you're one of those people who say, hey, I'm ready to change careers. I don't know how to, I don't know what to do. Come to my page. I have plenty of videos that give you that information. Like I said, I have an ebook that also gives information, so you have questions, hit me up.
And I'm going to put my podcast in here. It's Alpha Intuition. I'm putting this over in the chat. You guys go and watch my latest episode 65 with Rosa, the female electrician, because she is giving y'all so much game. She's talking about just different things that you can do. She can help you if you don't understand. So I said, I'm an electrician. When it comes to HVAC, the only thing we know how to do is bring the power. When something go crazy, we're going to call somebody to know how to work on it. So, HVAC is a whole career all in itself. So you guys go and follow Rosa. She's amazing. I found her just from watching different videos, searching women in the skilled trades. And she came up and I'm like, man, she was dropping gems from the service truck.
I was in the truck. Yes.
From the service truck, dropping gems on YouTube. So I'm telling y'all, it's like, there is a lot of things that you can do in the skilled trade. So don't be afraid to take up something new. Rosa decided she started 2 careers.
I did.
2 careers later after she had a whole 2 careers. So don't ever say it's too late. Those gonna take too long. You could be doing anything. Why not learn a skill trade?
You gotta want it.
You gotta want it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then we all have I have a podcast, Alpha Intuition. Ernest's podcast is Deal to Heal, Network. Deal to Heal Podcast and Network. But he has Ernest, tell him about all them podcasts you got. I don't even know how many you got, bro.
Yeah, I got 2 I got 2 active podcasts right now. The Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. We just crossed over 215 episodes, something like that. And then I have the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, which we just hit like 50 some episodes on that one. And both of those can be found on our YouTube channel, the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network.
All right. So you see right here, just the benefit that you've seen between an ironworker, bricklayer, electrician, HVAC technician / electrical apprentice. We have so many. And then like I said, the other 2 people, Dom is a pipe fitter and LaShawn is an electrical apprentice as well. So we got a plethora of people. And this network of people that we have is just growing. And we talk about how we got into the skill trades, how we entered, how we excelled, and how we evolved. And we are speakers. I know Ernest and Matt and myself, Rosa, we're going to get you on the team too, but we are actually in the Next Level Speakers Academy to where we talk to people about the benefit of it, because you already speak now.
Right.
And we have a platform that helps people to actually do that. And Ernest, I know you shouted me out, but you are the VP of the Chicago chapter. So between Chicago and Memphis, wherever you are, y'all tap in. If you're interested in learning how to get on stage just to develop your message, we can help you to do that as well. But that's all I got for you guys today. Why don't you guys go ahead and give us some final words so we can go ahead and hop off here. This Sunday, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go get back to my bed because I was tired. Look, I was busy all day yesterday trying to make sure this thing went off without a hitch. Of course, there's always going to be some fires you got to put out, but y'all know that I was made for this. This is what I was built for. So yeah, I'm about to get it. But let's see. Rosa, why don't you give us some final parting words?
Skilled trades is where it's at. If you have any questions, you don't know where to begin, reach out. We're all here. Everyone has a platform. YouTube, TikTok is where it is right now, but it's also use that as a platform to get the information that you need to get started in this trade, because I honestly have no regrets. Like I said, had I known about it 20 years ago, I would have been in it 20 years ago, be honest. And now that I know about it, I'm using my platform to get the word out to other people who are interested, who did not know that females are in the industry, so I'm using that. I'm letting them know we're here. Let's go, so.
Man, what you got? What you got for the crowd out here watching us?
Hey, I really appreciate you putting this together, Keisha. And it's been great, educating our viewers and having people come on, to really learn about what the trades are all about. We as you obviously see, we come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. So we all have different personalities, which is what makes the trades a super experience. I would also say that, for any folks that are really looking, looking to learn a lot more just about safety culture or even culture and retention in your own organization, please reach out. It's my life's work. It's what I love to do. And couldn't thank you enough for having me on, Keisha.
Absolutely. Ernest.
Yeah. I just go back to something that we talked about earlier, which was being, what do you expect on the job site and how you want to show up. And besides being work ready, one of the things that my apprentice instructor told me years ago was bad news travels faster than good news. And so you're the best bricklayer or tradesman in the world. Nobody may never know, But if you bad, it's gonna hit that job site before you get there. And so you want to make sure you're always are operating in integrity, you know, learning your craft or doing the best that you can, you know, every time you step out on the job site, so that your reputation will travel before you do, but it'll be traveling for the good instead of the bad. So that's what I live them with.
Wow, that's a mic drop. Well, I appreciate y'all for rocking with us for this past almost 2 hours. Hope you guys got some jam drop and hope you got some good information about everything that we said to you. And we will be back again next month. I'll let you guys know a little bit sooner this time. I know we just kind of popped up on y'all today. We're going to make sure we give y'all some notice so that you can get your friends and let everybody know. If you have any kids out there that are interested and want to learn about the skilled trades, they can hop on. We're doing it live. They can put their questions in the chat and they can connect with all of us on social media. So with that being said, I'm going to let y'all get back to y'all weekend. So y'all already know what to do. Man, don't stop, keep climbing. Y'all keep that energy. We out. Peace.
Peace.